The scent of post-oak smoke is designed to trick your brain. It triggers an ancient evolutionary response: fire, meat, community, survival. Fast casual conglomerates know this. They spend millions perfecting synthetic liquid smoke compounds and aerosolized bacon scents, pumping them through HVAC units directly into suburban strip mall parking lots. You smell the pit before you see the building. You walk inside expecting a culinary ritual that takes 14 hours of wood-tended patience. Instead, you are handed a piece of commodity pork that was mass-cooked in an industrial convection plant in Iowa, flash-frozen, shipped 400 miles in a diesel refrigerator truck, and reheated in a microwave by a teenager making minimum wage. This is the Great American Barbecue Heist. A multi-billion-dollar industrial complex has systematically hijacked one of the few remaining authentic regional food traditions in North America, wrapping it in fake rustic barnwood, neon pig signs, and marketing lies about secret family recipes. But the deception goes far beyond mediocre flavor and inflated margins. Behind the butcher paper and the high-fructose corn syrup lies a far darker reality. Systemic food safety failures, severe health code violations, private equity asset stripping, and corporate negligence that has literally sent people to the hospital. Right now, as you watch this, major barbecue chains are holding smoked proteins at temperatures that turn meat into bacterial breeding grounds, ignoring federal cooling protocols, and legally serving you reconstituted pork scraps while claiming it's authentic low and slow pit barbecue. Consider the absolute absurdity of the modern food ecosystem. In a single week, federal agencies flag a nationwide recall of commercial pulled pork sandwiches because consumers are finding pieces of hard industrial plastic embedded inside the meat. Simultaneously, a prestigious national food publication publishes its annual rankings, officially designating Boston as the third worst barbecue city in the entire country, not because of a lack of talent, but because the market there is dominated by high-rent corporate chains, relying on central commissary kitchens instead of real pits. And then there is the ultimate paradox of food safety enforcement in America. A well-known multi-state barbecue chain gets shut down by municipal health inspectors for critical high-risk violations: rodent droppings near holding stations, raw meat juice dripping over ready-to-eat sides, and ambient holding temperatures sitting squarely in the danger zone. The inspector padlocks the door. 7 days later, the exact same location reopens its doors, serving the exact same menu to an unsuspecting dinner crowd, having resolved the paperwork without changing a single fundamental operational process in its kitchen. How did we get here? How did an art form rooted in regional pride, indigenous smoking techniques, and local livestock turn into a high-yield asset class for publicly traded restaurant conglomerates? To understand the depth of this betrayal, you have to follow the money, inspect the health reports, and look at the franchise disclosure documents that corporate PR departments pray you never read. We pulled the health inspection records from county health departments across the country. We combed through legal declarations from ruined franchisees, tracked the ownership history of private equity buyouts, and audited competition records. The reality is stark. There are massive, highly visible barbecue joints operating today that are actively betraying the very tradition they are selling you, gambling with your gastrointestinal health every time you place an order. But on the flip side of that corporate rot, scattered across small towns and deep regional pockets, a few legendary pits still burn. Places where the fire has literally not gone out in over half a century, where no spreadsheet-driven private equity firm has been allowed to touch the wood supply, and where the smoke on the walls was earned one 14-hour cook at a time. Keep a tight grip on your wallet because we are pulling back the curtain on the smoke and mirrors game. Let's look at the absolute worst offenders destroying American barbecue, starting with a brand whose fall from grace is a textbook masterclass in corporate extraction. To understand how corporate barbecue collapsed into a series of health inspection failures and industrial shortcuts, one must analyze the economic transformation of the casual dining sector over the past 3 decades. Historically, regional barbecue relied on hyper-local supply chains, specific wood varieties such as post oak, hickory, or mesquite, and labor-intensive pit management requiring continuous oversight over 12 to 18 hours. The commercialization of this sector began in the late 20th century as restaurant operators attempted to scale these labor-intensive processes into standardized, high-margin franchise models. The primary structural obstacle in scaling authentic barbecue is the physical reality of meat shrinkage and cooking duration. Raw beef brisket loses approximately 40 to 50% of its total weight during a traditional smoking process due to moisture loss and fat rendering. For an independent operator, this shrinkage is priced into the final product. However, for corporate chains operating under strict prime cost targets, where combined food and labor costs must remain below 60% of total revenue, this weight loss represents a direct erosion of gross margins. To counteract this physical limitation, commercial equipment manufacturers introduced gas-assisted, electric-heated holding cabinets and industrial combi ovens utilizing liquid smoke vapor. These units reduce weight loss to less than 20% by cooking meat in high-humidity environments, but they eliminate the chemical reaction known as the Maillard reaction, which forms the traditional bark and smoke ring on wood-smoked protein. As these corporate chains expanded, the ownership landscape underwent a major shift. Beginning in the early 2000s, private equity firms began acquiring legacy barbecue brands. The strategy was straightforward: purchase established regional chains with strong brand equity, trim operational costs by switching from local meat suppliers to national commodity distributors, automate or centralize the smoking process, and franchise the concept to collect upfront franchise fees and ongoing royalties. In 2022, Barbecue Holdings, the parent company of Famous Dave's, was acquired by Fat Brands Inc. for approximately $143 million. Fat Brands operates as a brand management company, utilizing an asset-light model designed to maximize royalty streams across a portfolio of restaurant concepts. Following such corporate acquisitions, supply chain consolidation is typically immediate. Procurement shifts to mega distributors supplying standardized, pre-portioned protein cuts. High-fructose corn syrup replaces natural sugars in sauces to extend shelf life and lower ingredient costs, while modified food starch is introduced to maintain viscosity under prolonged commercial holding conditions. The consequences of this financial engineering extend directly into food safety metrics. Barbecue operations present unique microbiological hazards due to the physical nature of the product. Smoked proteins are inherently high-risk items under the FDA Food Code because they are cooked, held warm for extended periods, and often served as pre-sliced or pulled items with high surface area to mass ratios. The two primary operational failure points in commercial barbecue are improper hot holding and improper cooling protocols. According to federal guidelines, hot cooked food must be maintained at an internal temperature of 135 degrees Fahrenheit or higher to prevent the germination and proliferation of bacterial spores, specifically Clostridium perfringens and Bacillus cereus. Clostridium perfringens is one of the most common causes of foodborne illness in the United States, frequently associated with meat dishes that are cooked and held at unsafe temperatures. The spores survive initial cooking temperatures and germinate during holding if the product drops into the temperature danger zone between 41 and 135 degrees Fahrenheit. When large corporate chains reduce kitchen labor hours to optimize EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, the technical monitoring required for safe hot holding and cooling is compromised. Cooling large subprimal cuts of meat, such as whole pork shoulders weighing 8 to 10 pounds, requires strict adherence to the two-stage cooling rule. Dropping the core temperature from 135 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 hours, and from 70 to 41 degrees Fahrenheit within the subsequent 4 hours. Achieving this requires specialized equipment such as blast chillers, shallow-depth chilling pans, or ice wand agitation. In understaffed kitchens operating without specialized cooling infrastructure, line cooks frequently leave hot, dense meat items to cool at ambient room temperature, creating an ideal kinetic environment for rapid bacterial multiplication. Simultaneously, the franchise business model creates an operational division of responsibility. Franchisers sell operational blueprints, training manuals, and brand rights, while franchisee operators assume all capital expenditure, labor risks, and daily operational compliance burdens. Franchise disclosure documents, filed annually with state regulators, reveal that franchisee profitability in fast casual barbecue concepts has faced severe pressure from rising wholesale protein costs and fixed royalty obligations, which typically range from 4 to 6% of gross sales, plus an additional 1 to 2% for national advertising funds. When franchisee margins are squeezed, site-level operators frequently reduce labor, delay maintenance on commercial refrigeration and hot holding units, and retain trained personnel at lower rates. This structural friction between corporate royalty collection and franchisee operational constraints has resulted in recurring systemic health code violations documented in municipal health department databases across multiple jurisdictions. A critical examination of municipal health inspection records, federal agency notices, and public court filings reveals systemic operational compromises across major casual dining barbecue chains. These documentation sources demonstrate how financial restructuring, franchise disputes, and labor cutbacks directly correlate with food safety compliance failures. At Famous Dave's locations, health inspection documentation from municipal authorities in Minnesota, Colorado, and Florida documents recurring violations involving hot holding temperature compliance. In Denver, Municipal Health Division inspection reports recorded instances where cooked brisket held in steam tables fell below the mandatory 135° Fahrenheit threshold, sitting in temperature zones conducive to bacterial growth. Public complaint filings associated with these inspections confirm consumer reports of foodborne symptoms following consumption of product held at non-compliant temperatures. The systemic operational issues at Dickey's Barbecue Pit represent one of the most documented cases of franchise infrastructure failure in the casual dining segment. In 2015, public health authorities in Washington County, Utah, investigated a major salmonella outbreak traced to a Dickey's franchise location in St. George. The epidemiological investigation conducted by local and state health departments identified contaminated pulled pork as the vector, sickening 80 individuals and resulting in multiple hospitalizations. The investigation determined that improper meat injection procedures, combined with inadequate thermal processing and holding practices, allowed salmonella bacteria to survive and multiply. Legal declarations from former Dickey's franchisees, filed in civil court proceedings, reveal structural deficiencies within the franchise support framework. Franchise disclosure documents indicate significant franchisee turnover, with dozens of units closing within their initial 3 years of operation. Court filings detail allegations from operators stating that corporate franchisors failed to provide necessary field support, technical training for high-risk meat handling, and adequate oversight of kitchen safety procedures, while continuing to enforce strict royalty collection schedules. Similar operational patterns exist within the records of Sonny's Barbecue, an enterprise operating roughly 100 units across southeastern states under private equity ownership. Inspection logs from county health departments in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama reveal repeated citations for improper rapid cooling of cooked protein subprimals. An inspection report issued by the Alachua County Health Department for a Gainesville, Florida location documented large smoked pork shoulders cooling at ambient room temperature rather than under mechanical refrigeration or ice bath conditions. The internal product temperature was recorded at 98° Fahrenheit after 2 hours of cooling, significantly exceeding the maximum allowable threshold of 70 degrees required by the FDA Food Code to prevent spore germination. The financial collapse of Smoky Bones Bar and Fire Grill illustrates the trajectory of private equity ownership transitions within the casual dining sector. Originally established by Darden Restaurants in 1999, the brand was sold to private equity firms before filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 2024, resulting in the immediate closure of 61 restaurant locations. Regulatory filings and municipal health records leading up to the bankruptcy filing documented widespread operational degradation across locations in Florida, Ohio, and Virginia. Inspection reports cited repeated failures regarding hot holding temperatures, surface sanitation protocol, and raw-to-cooked cross-contamination prevention. Former management staff reported operating with reduced kitchen labor budgets, impairing the execution of fundamental safety and sanitation practices. The The commercial execution of barbecue items within non-barbecue casual chains presents distinct consumer transparency and safety considerations. Dine Brands Global, the parent organization of Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, offers commercial pork riblets across its national system. Supply chain documentation and culinary execution guidelines confirm that these products do not undergo on-site wood smoking. The product arrives at retail locations pre-cooked, pre-sourced, and frozen, produced at central industrial processing facilities. The product is subsequently reheated utilizing commercial microwaves or rapid convection ovens prior to table service. Health inspection databases across various state jurisdictions record citations at casual dining locations for improper reheating temperatures of pre-cooked frozen protein items. FDA food safety standards mandate that pre-cooked, commercially processed foods must be reheated to an internal temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 hours to eliminate potential pathogens, including Listeria monocytogenes and Salmonella species. Failure to reach mandatory thermal limits during rapid reheating protocols introduces documented food safety risks, while marketing materials position the product alongside traditional wood-smoked barbecue terminology. These documented inspection records and legal filings show a clear division between corporate fast casual operations, prioritizing standardized margin extraction, and traditional pit operations adhering to strict thermal controls, dedicated labor models, and transparent supply chains.